Well, first of all, we have to make it very clear that industry as part of the real economy is very important for jobs and for full employment finally. Many studies have shown that if we go too much into the direction of, for example, financial market, financial services, that this is detracting excellent workers and employees and capital from the real economy and is hampering and reducing growth. Secondly, also the unfair distribution and more unequal distribution between income and wealth is also reducing demand which would go to the real economy, including industry. And therefore, a more fair, a more just society, and secondly, of course, a redimensioned financial sector reduced in its growth and in its extension would also help the real economy, the industry, to grow. And thirdly, of course, also Europe has to do much more for enhancing industrial development, because we see that all the countries where there is a strong industrial development have a much better growth than the countries who reduced their industry too much in the last years. I think it is very important to enhance research and development and to promote those universities. Therefore, the cutting of expenditure for education but also for research is very dangerous. We have to keep up these expenditures, and we have to have more stronger European cooperation, to have European synergy out of the different educational and research institutes working together, cooperating, and to attract new people into that field and sector. And of course, it's very important to keep the well-trained and educated people in our countries. Very often today, because again of the austerity policy, they are more or less forced to emigrate to other countries. Especially if they don't come back with new knowledges and with new experience, it would be very bad for Europe. We would lose a lot of really good, excellent people to other countries. And that, of course, is reducing our competitive position. Therefore, giving education, giving training, but then, of course, giving them a good job is very important to keep the people in Europe so that we can develop our industries. For me and for the Social Democrats, there is no contradiction between a good industrial development on the one hand and keeping the social model. In the contrary, if we have a good social development in our countries, if we have a more just and fair society, if we keep our good people in employment, then all this is contributing towards a good, effective and efficient industrial development. Therefore, keeping the social model in Europe, enhancing it, fighting against extreme austerity policy, against cutting only of wages and salaries and pensions, all that is not contributing to the economic growth. In the contrary, it's reducing economic growth, as we can see every day. And therefore our policy is clear. We want even more. We want a social pact which is embedding the social model of Europe into our whole society. And Europe and the European Union and the European Commission also must support that, not only in words but in action. We, as a Social Democratic group, always have been for making it clear it's not only about having jobs, it's about having decent jobs. And therefore it is important to make it clear that for the young and for the old, for whoever has a job, it must be a decent job. And we have to fight this parallel with having a job to have a decent job. One instrument to do that is the Social Pact, which we demand from the European Union to decide on it. And in the Social Pact, it's not only about the quantity of jobs we have to create, but also of the quality of work. And especially in the industry, modern industry, where you reduce any kind of insecurity, where you raise safety networks and safety measures, we can also make it sure that industry is connected with decent work, with decent jobs. And the social pact which we propose for Europe would include this issue very much in order to help also the trade unions to come forward with their ideas, with their proposals, and to implement not only a full employment policy, but a full employment policy which is concentrating on decent jobs.